Hey guys, Anime Gypsy here with another Boku no Hero Academia review. And before I get started, I'd like to apologize. I was traveling for the past while, so I wasn't able to do this week's review. But here I am today, bringing you Boku no Hero Academia. So without further ado, we have to start with the big elephant in the room, and of course, I'm talking about the quark singularity theory that was introduced in Boku no Hero Academia. Now, wh- where to start is those kids are abnormally powerful, yes, but at the same time, they don't have the training. They haven't really trained their quirks. They're pretty young, and they're facing characters that are in and of themselves the cream of the crop of the previous generation. So even so, you messed up with the wrong group. You don't do that. You just don't. And that was hinted. The quirk singularity theory was actually hinted twice. The first time with All for Might explaining the how One for All works in terms of how when the quirk gets passed on, it gets stronger because it collects the abilities of the previous generation into one sum. Which singularity, all the powers go down, and as it goes down, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that was the first hint. The second hint is Eri. And I said this in the previous video. Maybe there's something behind what those kids are saying when they said that this generation, their generation, is stronger than the previous generation, Bakugo's generation. There may be something behind that, but I still don't think that the average individual from that generation will be any competition for an individual such as Todoroki, an individual such as Bakugo, an individual such as Inasa, so no, I don't think the average schmuck from that generation could do that, even when they are their age. No, because those guys just far exceed their peers because of hard work, because of training, and because of how overpowered their general quirk is. And this theory was commented on by Big Mike, saying that those kids are more powerful than he was at their age, which I found surprising because President Mike, hey, you're the guy that just blew up your doctor's eardrums when you were a kid, when you were born. So when you were a baby, you were OP. That just doesn't make sense. And from my understanding, that whole thing you have on there is just there to make your volume lower. From my understanding, I may be wrong. If I am, please comment down below. And speaking of, we have to ask the question: how will such overpowered characters be able to handle those kids without basically putting them in hospital? As Sosuke Aizen once said, it is hard to step on an ant without crushing it. So you have an individual that is, when we talk about Todoroki, he could potentially freeze their legs to the ground, and that will be the end of that. But at the same time, that could be viewed as aggression, which should be avoided. Instead, we have this combo with Bakugo and Inasa, where Inasa uses his wind quirk to raise all the kids up, and their toys and their tools and whatnot, and then Shoto Todoroki uses his ice quirk to freeze the surrounding area, and in so creating huge slides made out of ice, and the kids go down the slides and they're enjoying their time, and it's a joyous day of this year. So in that whole sequence, there were two other characters in this exam, Bakugo and Kami, and each of them dealt with the situation in a different way. Kami, we got introduced to her quirk. Her quirk is called Glamour. And for you guys that read this, just and also watch Naruto, this is nothing like Genjutsu. The big difference between Kami's quirk and any form of Genjutsu is that Genjutsu infiltrates the consciousness of an individual rather than creating optical illusions in the air. Thus, you need to make eye contact with the Sharingan. Thus, you could obtain the Genjutsu by the senses, according to what Jiraiya said in a previous episode. Genjutsu is applied either with touch, sight, smell, or taste. So you need to see something in order for someone to connect with you and create a genjutsu, in order for them to alter your consciousness, your conscious vision, your conscious smell, your conscious taste, your conscious whatever. Basically, uh, what Kami could do is alter and diffuse stuff in the air and create an optical illusion, like what's it called? That thing in the desert. You know what I'm talking about? A mirage. So it's kind of like a mirage where she could create something in the air that looks like a handsomely cute Todoroki, as explained in this chapter. But what I don't get is how she's able to produce sound. Maybe that will be explained later, but from my understanding of how her quirk works, according to the explanation I read, that is her spiel. There might be a hint of alternation when it comes to perception and when it comes to consciousness, because Bakugo stated that he fell for the Todoroki thing and he choked up. So that is out of character for Bakugo to do, since Bakugo is a big tough guy, and he said something like, "I was seduced or mesmerized by your thing," and that's just something so out of line for Bakugo. So maybe what he's trying to say is, stop messing with my head. So maybe there is a hint of uh, alteration comes to consciousness, where she could make someone look attractive to someone else, maybe, and that's a huge maybe. So next up, we have Bakugo. When it comes to Bakugo, the way he dealt with it is he approached the leader of that group, the person that was supposedly the strongest kid in that group, but really didn't demonstrate any sort of quirk. And what he did was he gave him some advice. He said, "Hey, if you keep looking down on people like that, you won't grow." And that's very reflective of Bakugo, because when we first see Bakugo, he was always flailing around with his quirk. He was always just saying, "I'm the best of the best, don't you forget it. You guys are trash." He still says, "I'm the best of the best," but he never addresses the other people in UA as trash anymore, because he realizes that at some point of time, some people he is inferior to. And if he keeps looking down like that, everyone will grow and he will stop growing. And that's something in terms of character development that we see in Todoroki. All that, stuff about you worthless pieces of yada yada yada, he stops saying, and instead he says, "I'm going to be the best of the best. I'm going to win." So you have this thing where he stops looking down on people and he starts addressing people and with respect, as seen in Ochiko's fight with Bakugo, where he didn't hold anything back, and he gave it his best, and basically that was a show of respect to Ochiko. So that was nice. Now moving on, I think personally that this advice, while it is, while it was nice, it could have been taken as an easy way out by some viewers. But I honestly think it's constructive, because it really makes us look back at the old Bakugo and realize how much he has grown since. Now, next up, and finally, we have All Might and Endeavor. And All Might is giving Endeavor the talk. And of course, when I say the talk, I'm talking about the talk that relates to being the number one hero, the number one most powerful pro-government. How should I say this? In a way, I don't think in the My Hero Academia world that heroes should be accepted by the government. Rather, I think that they should be like vigilantes. But he tells Endeavor that this sort of stuff has its weight, and that he shouldn't try and do what All Might's been doing all this time. Just be yourself. But finally, in this chapter, rather than last chapter, he pointed at the kids and said, "This is what we're protecting. This is what being a hero means. Being a hero doesn't mean going down and beating up some villains. No, Being a hero means making people feel comfortable. Being a hero means being that pillar for people when they are having a hard time. Being a hero means helping a kid construct his life. Being a hero means you are an agent of the people. You work for the people, not the government. That is what being a hero means. You work for their feelings. You are protecting their feelings if nothing else, and you are helping them develop. That is what it means to be a hero according to All Might, and what Endeavor ultimately realizes in this chapter. So if you liked this video, please leave a like, and if you didn't, just leave a dislike and comment why down below. If you have any advice, I would really like it. Put it down in the comments as well. And until next time, guys, this is Anime Gypsy, and I'm out.